Today, we're going to talk about why I write. Seriously? Hey guys, so last week I did just like a one take while I was washing the bottles, and I've decided that I'm gonna do that once a week. I mean, I wash the bottles at least once a day, but it's like a good time for me to just kind of stand here and clean and then talk to you guys about whatever you want to hear. So if you have things that you want to know or you'd like me to talk about, put it down in the comments and then we will talk about those things in the weeks to come. But today, we're going to talk about why I write. Seriously? Okay, anyways, so I think that my love for writing really goes back to my love for reading. I have loved to read for as long as I can remember. I used to frequently get in trouble for reading after I was supposed to have turned off my lights and gone to bed. I've always loved reading. Summer reading programs at the library were the bomb. The little like Book It program. Do you guys remember Book It in elementary school? It was awesome. Anyway, I've always loved reading. I've always loved getting lost in a story and living for a little bit in a different world. I think that's really where it all started. But then I've also just kind of always loved writing. English was my favorite subject in high school and I was pretty good at it. Like I enjoyed writing research papers. I enjoyed writing fictional papers. Basically any kind of writing that I did, I loved. And when I was in high school, I started writing songs. I loved to sing and felt like I had words that I could put to music. So I started writing songs and loved that, but it just like never was gonna go anywhere. I didn't have the motivation or the opportunity even to make it go anywhere. So yeah, I always wrote songs. It was a few years after Brandon and I had been married and I was like, you know what? I want to write a book. Like I have this idea and I want to turn it into a full book. So I'd always, like when I was younger, I would start writing stories and then just never finish them. Like they would never go anywhere. I'd get like a couple pages in and then just stop. And so when I started writing my book, I was like, hey, like I have to push myself. Like I really want to finish it. And so I started working on it and I worked as an assistant librarian at the time at a middle school. And so I had some downtime to work on it, but it really started to bloom that next summer. Right after I'd started it, I worked as an ESL aide at a high school and I went to the classes with these kids during summer school and I didn't have anything to do unless they asked me questions. So I wrote all day, every day, and I filled up, I have this Taylor Swift notebook that I filled up completely, and I had to get another notebook too because I would write by hand my book. And then I would go back later and type it up, which probably sounds super insane, but I actually really liked writing it by hand. I'm not sure why. I've always preferred to do things by hand. I feel like it gives me more time to think before I write things down, and I feel like it just is more genuine rather than like typing. So yeah, my book is for the most part also written out by hand in a notebook. And yeah, and then I finished it. I mean, it took me a few years to finish it. Probably about a year and a half to 2 years to finish it, like to get all the words written out. And then I went through and I edited it, and the summer that I was pregnant with Carter, I like sent it out to a bunch of agents to see if anybody would pick it up, and nobody did, which was totally fine. Like honestly, I didn't really care if it went anywhere. I just was happy that I had written it. So then it didn't get picked up, which was fine. And then we lost Carter and I stopped working. And so I decided to re-edit my book, and I did that. And then it kind of just sat there, in all honesty. Nothing really happened with it. I had, you know, a draft that was marked up and edited and just kind of hanging out in the desk drawer. And so right before we were having Hudson, I decided that I wanted to do something with it. I wasn't working when I was pregnant with him, and so I wanted to get something done with it, just essentially to like get it out. And like, I feel like if I wouldn't have done anything with it, I would have just held on to it forever and could have continually made edits and made changes and, you know, been unhappy with it. And so I talked to Brandon about self-publishing and looked into it, and it was really, really easy. And so I did it. And so that's how my book came into existence. And I feel like, I don't know, like I'm pleased with it. It was kind of like, everyone's like, oh, it's a huge deal that you wrote a book. And when it was just on the computer still, I was like, no, it's really not though. But when the hard copy came, that's when it was like really a big deal to me. So that was pretty cool. I have not been able to write as much as I thought I'd be able to. Having Hudson, and also before we had him, I don't know, like I also love blogging, and I can find time to do that because it's just a little bit. But when it comes to working on another novel, I feel like I have to have a lot of time to do it, and I just don't have that right now. I started working on a book about loss before we were pregnant with little Bean. And then when we found out we had lost her, I was like, I can't work on this book right now. It's gonna have to wait. And then we had the miscarriage, and it was gonna have to wait again. And then we were pregnant with Hudson, and I was like, I just can't. Like, I don't wanna be in that headspace while I'm pregnant with him. So it hasn't happened yet. And I'm having a hard time deciding if I'm going to be able to work on that book, because I wanted to write about parents who had just recently lost their child, and I wanted to draw on those emotions that I had at the time. But honestly, like I'm not in the same place that I was at that point in time, like right after we had lost him. And so if I'm not able to stay true to the emotions, then I'm not gonna finish it, because I want to be able to do it justice, and I want it to be a resource for parents who have also lost children that can, you know, read it and say, this is exactly what I'm going through. At least someone understands, you know? So we will see. I would really love to continue working on that. And I had started a couple other ones too. See, this is the problem. I start and then I just don't finish them. But I think that, I don't know, maybe eventually I'll get there. Once I mean, if I can get on a better routine of like maybe getting up earlier in the morning and not sleeping for so long, that'd be great. But for now, my focus is just on Hudson and hanging out with him. And so I don't ever want his awake time to be like, I don't ever want to be doing anything else while he's awake, you know? Like I just want to play with him because I really like him so much. So anyways, so yeah, I don't know, someone had asked why I started writing, and I feel like that kind of answers the question. Like I just like it. I've always enjoyed reading. I've always enjoyed writing. I've been blogging since 2009, so for quite a while. And I feel like it's a really great way for me to release my emotions, I guess. I know that maybe some people don't agree with the idea of putting your feelings out on the internet, but for me, it's a place to put them, and if someone else can benefit from them, then that's great. So yeah, that's why I started writing. And if you haven't checked out my book, feel free to. The link is down there in the description. And if you have looked at it and read it, I would love to know what you think. I accept all critiques, positive and negative. And the book is already published, so nothing's gonna change, but I'd love to know what you think. So I think that's it. I only had 2 bottles to wash because he's only had 2 bottles so far today. But we are going to donate the cuddle cot this afternoon, so you guys will see that tomorrow. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.